I'd like to provide a short historical context and a summary of where we are, what this change means for us, and the range of perspectives it opens. As many of you know, I'm an experimental linguist with 35 years of experience conducting research on multilingualism and language learning over the lifespan, in collaboration with colleagues in Edinburgh and around the world. Why should we care about multilingualism? Bilingualism and multilingualism in any languages are important for individuals and for societies for many reasons. A multilingual person is not only someone who can communicate with more people, but also someone who tends to have an open mind towards other cultures and can understand cultural diversity. This is very important in today's increasingly diverse societies, also as a mental weapon to fight increasing isolationism and xenophobia. Importantly, multilingualism also helps to maintain linguistic diversity. Languages are disappearing around the globe at a very fast rate. The survival of many of these languages depends on intergenerational transmission, which means parents speaking the language to their children, often in a situation of bilingualism with the majority language. Research also shows that despite many old and some new misconceptions, children who grow up with two languages or learn another language in a supportive environment, and adults who learn a second language later in life, can derive multiple benefits for their bilingualism in terms of language awareness, understanding other people's perspectives, dealing with complex situations. It's true that the roads toward multilingual upbringing and multilingual education can be bumpy and present challenges, but the better we understand these challenges, the better we can address them. These are all excellent reasons to celebrate multilingualism in all languages, both spoken and signed, as a social and cognitive resource. It's the fact of having more than one language that matters, regardless of which languages. This should be an incentive for learning languages at school, for speakers of minority languages to continue to use their language, for migrant families to continue to speak their language at home, with an awareness that this is beneficial for their children's linguistic and social integration. More generally, it should be an incentive to regard multilingualism in any languages as an investment for life that can enrich countries and their citizens. This is what emerges from research, but do people know? That's why I've always supported the idea that research shouldn't be confined to lecture theaters and laboratories, but should be known and shared by people in society. And that's why I established Bilingualism Matters in September 2008 as a local service for parents and teachers focused on the facts, benefits, and challenges of child bilingualism. Both as a researcher and as a parent of bilingual children, I was aware of the lack of information and of the many misconceptions on bilingualism in the community. Initially, and for several years, Bilingualism Matters operated as an active group of volunteers, including myself. Pretty soon, it started to attract more and more interest from other countries and other sectors of society. Then, it officially became a center at the University of Edinburgh in 2014. For this, I would like to thank the then Principal and Vice Chancellor of the University, Tim O'Shea, for all his support at the time, and also Madeleine Beveridge, Christy Brewster, and Katarzyna Psybyczyn, who were employed and have been employed in the center for their excellent work since then. Now, 8 years later, this is where we are. Bilingualism Matters has an international network of 30 branches in Canada, China, Croatia, France, Germany, Israel, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Slovenia, Spain, United States. And is about to open 3 more in Australia, Italy, and US. Bilingualism Matters has numerous partnerships and outreach projects in the public sector where it collaborates with a wide range of partners, including policymakers, education authorities, and health professionals. I would like to name all the organizations that have collaborated with us and supported us over the years, and I know that many representatives are here in the audience today, but this would probably take up the rest of my allocated time. So let me just express my gratitude to them and say ad maiora, or to bigger and greater things, as they used to say in Latin. I look forward to many future projects together. Bilingualism Matters also has an increasing presence in the private sector, and for this I would like to thank Andrew Hill of the Financial Times and Bernadette Holmes of the Chartered Institute of Linguists for sharing their networks and advice with us. Bilingualism Matters regularly takes part in science festivals, general audience language shows, and is featured in the media. Bilingualism Matters is the official dissemination and public impact channel in several European-funded and UK-funded research projects on different aspects of bilingualism. Moreover, Bilingualism Matters provides many students and visiting researchers with training and volunteering opportunities, which directly support academic skills in teaching and research and are valued by potential employers. I'm grateful to all our past and present volunteers for being so engaged and motivated. Becoming an independent nonprofit organization will allow us to handle this growth more efficiently. It would allow us to develop many more synergies within our growing international network, to establish new partnerships with non-academic organizations in both the public and the private sectors, and to welcome affiliations from private individuals. We will be generating more resources through grants, partnerships, consultancies, philanthropy, revenue, to allow Bilingualism Matters to build on its success and promote new and better initiatives to invest in multilingualism. We will maintain a privileged relationship with Edinburgh and with the Bilingualism Matters at Edinburgh branch, and with our 7 program directors in Edinburgh, because Edinburgh has been the cradle and the inspiring locus of our activities for 14 years. What do we envisage for the future? As our joint work with UNESCO shows, this is a crucial time to place languages and linguistic diversity at the core of education, and to regard multilingualism as a new kind of global literacy. This means valuing language education as a national need, similar to education in maths and English. Over half of the world's population is multilingual, and yet it is largely monolingual norms, standards, and attitudes that define education, research, and how societies are organized. Preference is generally given to global languages at the expense of minoritized, indigenous, and heritage languages. Across the world, languages face different challenges, some shared universally, others specific to particular countries and regions. Many societies face internal as well as international migration, with challenges around how to embrace and address the increased linguistic and cultural diversity that comes with it. Language is also a critical aspect of social justice, as has emerged in a starkly obvious way in the past 2 years. Communities of heritage, immigrant, and refugee populations have been overwhelmingly overlooked and poorly serviced all over the world in the large-scale COVID efforts to test, diagnose, and vaccinate. That's why it's more important than ever for societies and organizations to join forces, to increase capacity for accessible language education, and to normalize multilingualism and language learning. And that will be the main focus of our mission as a social enterprise. We are joining forces across disciplinary boundaries, because bilingualism is not an either-or dimension, but a continuum affected by many social, linguistic, cognitive variables. Understanding how these variables interact requires integrating research approaches from different fields. And we're joining forces across societal sectors, because multilingualism can't become the new normal without the involvement of all citizens, families, education and health professionals, and governments. Before I conclude, I wish to express my sincere thanks to Dr. Katarzyna Psybyczyn, a co-director in this new venture. Without her vision, wisdom, and dedication, we wouldn't be where we are. The new venture will also benefit from the contribution of Professor Tanja Rinke, the leader of one of our German branches, as a new co-director. And I wish to thank all of you again for your interest and the support that you've given us until now, and that you'll be able to give us in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonella. Now, as you know, this event is a hybrid event, so we also have speakers online. In fact, majority of them is online, which reflects to an extent how we are working Bilingualism Matters. So now I would like to pass on to Tanja Rinke, who is hosting our event for the online audiences from Germany. I think there's probably about 150 people. Certainly about 200 registered, and how many other we're going to find out from Tanja, but I'm just passing on to Tanja. So Tanja, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kat, and also a very warm welcome from my side as the third director, and I'm very happy to be hosting the online section of this event. And I'm very pleased that we have people connecting from all over the world to this event, from Greece, from the United States, from Brazil, from Austria, Spain, Portugal, etc. So it's been wonderful to see so many of you here. And I would like to introduce our very first speaker from the online portion of this event, which is Noah Sobe from the UNESCO. And yeah, Noah, the floor is all yours.
Thanks very much, Tanja. It's an honor and pleasure to be here and celebrate with you this great step forwards for Bilingualism Matters. So I'm Noah Sobe. I work on the Future of Learning and Innovation team at UNESCO. And over the past 2 years, we've had the pleasure of working with Bilingualism Matters as one of the organizations that offered inputs and in fact helped to co-construct the recently released Futures of Education report from UNESCO. This is a once a generation visioning and foresight exercise that has just resulted in the publication of our Reimagining Our Futures Together, a new social contract for education. And basically, this report calls for 3 things, all of which I think are very closely related to the goals that Bilingualism Matters has put forwards. So these are to rethink the why, the what, and the how of learning. So starting with the how, there's some worrying trends in the world of education today. Think about the displacement of schooling into domestic spaces. Think about proposals to automate learning, also the rise of crass commercialization and profiteering. And all of these are exacerbating inequalities and undermining public education. And the call in this report is to support education as a public societal endeavor and strengthen it as a common good. And I think that's very aligned with what Antonella was just taking us through. The UNESCO report also calls for a massive updating of what we learn. Too often today, discrete subject knowledge is handed to students in educational institutions without connection to everyday lives, without connection to contemporary challenges. So instead, curricula and learning objectives need to focus on ecological, intercultural, and interdisciplinary learning. And what ties all these things together is a focus less on categories and more on connections. And I would submit, as the UNESCO report does, that bilingualism, in fact, plurilingualism, has a very supportive role to play in this regard. Finally, this new UNESCO report that Bilingualism Matters helped us to make calls for pressing reset on the question of why we learn. So in place of a narrow focus on education for national citizenship or to support development efforts, we're calling instead for education to build personal and collective capacities to transform. And here too, bilingualism, multilingualism are necessary to support students, to allow for full participation in society, and to strengthen global solidarity, in addition to all the things that Antonella just took us through. So again, I congratulate you on this important milestone for Bilingualism Matters, and I wish you every success in the years ahead.
Thank you very much, Noah, for this the introduction of this extremely important report. And I would like to give the floor now to Andrew Hill from the Financial Times. Thank you very much again, Noah.
Thank you, Tanya, and hello, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be involved in the event. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. It's probably, I guess, just over 10 years since Antonella and I connected through the RSA organization and started to talk about ways in which the FT, whose readers I think represent a big multilingual community, internationally based and interested in international affairs, and Bilingualism Matters could collaborate. And we cooperated on 2 events in 2013 and 2015, a roundtable at the Financial Times headquarters in London, and then a panel discussion hosted by the FT's then owner, Pearson, in London in 2015. And I think that confirmed both of those events, both the intense interest of the business community in what Bilingualism Matters does, and the interest of the FT's network in the work that was being done and the way in which it was relevant to business as a whole. And we focused on a number of issues in those discussions and in articles that I then went on to write for the FT. The practical advantages, obviously, of speaking languages for businesses, ranging from establishing that first connection with international contacts through to detailed deal making. And I think those practical advantages are still the areas where many businesses focus, possibly to the detriment of some of the other advantages of learning and speaking other languages, particularly the cultural advantages, the understanding that learning and having other languages gives to understanding other ways of life, and trespassing into Antonella's specialist area, the obvious cognitive advantages. And in the 5 to 6 years since those events took place, I think it's only become more obvious that we need some of those advantages in business and in wider discussions internationally: perspective taking, empathy, compromise, cooperation, and as Antonella said in her opening remarks, open-mindedness and an ability to cope with complex situations. Those are all areas in which we can see, without having to put much thought into it, that we have had the need for more of those elements. So I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to be involved. We would love to hear more about how Bilingualism Matters develops in the coming years. And let me add my congratulations to Antonella and the team, and the very best of luck for Bilingualism Matters in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Andrew, and thank you also for your support of Bilingualism Matters. And I will now turn the floor back over to the event in Edinburgh.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Noah and Andrew. And now we would like to welcome our 2 live speakers, Sara Peregrini and Eva Graham from Girotondo Italian School. And the other speakers, unfortunately, wouldn't be able to be here, so we're going to switch to online after Sara and Eva finish. Therefore, enjoy Sara and Eva, because they are very special. They made it today in person here.
Thank you, Katrina. And so today I'm here to tell you a little bit of a story that started about 9 years ago when my daughter was 4. And we went on holiday to Italy, as we did every year. And at that stage, she started realizing that it was a bit strange that, she could understand everybody speaking Italian, but nobody could understand her perfectly good English when she was responding. And, at home, we always had, we are a bilingual family, so, we speak English as a family. And we decided that that was the language to be used. And we also decided that I would always speak Italian to the children. So, my two children grew up with me speaking Italian all the time. And, she was really disappointed about this and quite puzzled. And so I came back to Edinburgh and I looked for a class, a school that would allow her to learn the Italian. And I found the Centro di Promozione della Cultura Italiana. And at the time, it was a very good place to go. There were a few classes and so on, so we enrolled her and so on. It was very good. But unfortunately, it folded. As a school, it folded. Getting funded is very difficult for these type of schools. And so together with Andrea Leonardi, Manuela Rolle Capriglione, and myself, we decided to actually take on the challenge and re-establish a school. And so we actually, thanks to Contini, the restaurant that allowed us to have some free space in the restaurant to run classes. And thank you to the council that at the time, the City of Edinburgh Council, that at the time was funding 3 teachers for heritage languages. Then we could get ahead and continue, having this school. And so in 2015, we founded the Girotondo Italian School. And then, in 2019, we became a SCIO. So this is a Scottish charity to allow us to continue and to get funded and to be a bit more organized. And in fact, in 2020, we also became the official Italian government-funded school for Italian in Scotland and Northern Ireland. And now what we are is, we have 3 trustees, so Andrea Leonardi, myself, and Edmondo Minisci. We have a total of 75 students, so we grew from those 3 classes at the Contini restaurant. And we have 7 classes in Edinburgh. We have 3 classes in Glasgow, and after COVID, we started 2 classes online. And that allows us to actually reach a much wider audience. So children that are in Dundee, in Aberdeen, in Northern Ireland, who don't have access to, we don't have enough numbers to establish classes live, then we managed to get the online access, which is very useful for this deployment. And we have a very wide range of students. So we start from preschool, so the first year before starting primary. We cover full primary, and then we also do secondary school up to the SQA exams. So we prepare the children for National 5, Higher, and Advanced Higher, which means that every child that has a language, an Italian heritage, or has learned Italian with us, has an advantage of also taking exams in an extra language which might not be taught at their local schools. And as I say, yes, so we do the exams. And actually, we believe that our collaboration with Bilingualism Matters is key for our development, for the development of our teachers, and for the best experience for our children. So, teaching with the correct tools and with the correct knowledge is going to help us to become an excellent school in the future.
Hello, I'm Eva Graham. I'm Sarah's daughter. I'm bilingual and the troublemaker my mom was talking about. I've been going to Italian classes for 8 years on a Saturday morning. I enjoy going there because I get to connect with other children like me who have parents from different countries. My dream at the moment is to become a language teacher because I want to inspire the next generation and share my knowledge with them. Being bilingual is helping me in school because my French teacher says my French level is the same as an S3 whilst I'm only an S1. Plus, I'm amazing at a game called Color Addict, where the key skill is to differentiate a picture from a word, and that is a skill that most bilingual children have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah and Eva. And this G Rotondo is just an example of a Saturday, as we call it, Saturday language schools. We've got other representatives of schools. Not every school is as organized the same way, so that's an entire area of diversity, I suppose, and very fascinating. As I mentioned before, we have two speakers that represent our local context, and these are Jean McCutcheon, who is a language learner, a very enthusiastic language learner, who's going to tell us about her experiences. And there's also Jim Wannell from Bosnia Gaelic, who's going to tell us about minority languages, and I will allow them to introduce themselves on their own as their video will be connected. So.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kat. So I would like to give the floor to Jean.
Good evening, everyone. The Grange Association is a local amenity society, one of whose activities is a season of public talks on a variety of subjects through the winter. Antonella recently gave us a fascinating talk on learning a foreign language as an adult. I'm a former teacher of English as a foreign language, and I'm a language junkie. Not the only one here, I suspect. I attend weekly French and Italian classes and have studied German, Russian, and Japanese at a variety of levels. I've been asked to talk briefly about some of the advantages and challenges of learning a foreign language as an adult. Older people among you may find it reassuring to know that the older brain remains active and retains its plasticity, and language learning can delay, although not prevent, the onset of dementia by 4 or 5 years. This was news to me, but I was glad to hear it. Some of the problems I've encountered as a teacher and a learner, learners often think they must aim for native speaker standard, which is unrealistic and unnecessary. It takes time and it needs continuous practice. Another problem is transfer from one language to another. For example, when I first went to work in Spain after 4 years in Italy, I found myself describing Christmas pudding, and I ended up saying, and we eat it with brandy butter. Except I said, con burro al cognac, and the Spaniards were very puzzled because burro does mean butter in Italian, but it means donkey in Spanish. What was the donkey doing on the Christmas pudding? Learners are often inhibited by the fear of making mistakes. And some cultures, in some cultures, it's difficult for them to speak out. On the other hand, foreign language learning enables the awareness of other cultures and communication with others. It helps keep the brain active, enabling it to multitask, and knowing one language does help with learning another. That depends, of course, on how closely they're related. I learned Italian using French as a starting point, but Oriental languages, of course, are difficult for Westerners. There are 5 tones in Mandarin and 3 scripts in Japanese. Language learning is beneficial for the brain, and it's good fun, and it's really enriched my life. Thank you very much for inviting me here today, and I wish Bilingualism Matters the best of luck for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jean, for your fascinating account and the joy you portray in language learning. Thank you very much. And I would like to turn the floor over to Jim. Jim, can you hear us? I think he may have had some internet problems because he kept coming in. He was sort of going in and out. So perhaps I will just take the floor myself for a moment. Here he is. We'll give it another try. Jim, can you hear us? No, he seems to having some trouble. In fact, then we will move on to the next speaker, and I would like to introduce Judy Kroll, who is professor at the University of California at Irvine. Judy,
thank you. I hope you can hear me through the mask. You are finding me right in the middle of the first meeting of the spring term of a graduate course on cognitive neuroscience approaches to bilingualism. And we are all here. You can't see everyone in the room, but we are all here together. And one of the goals of the course is to learn to make communication about the research and science of the bilingual brain more accessible to others. This event is ideal from our perspective, and in introducing the material of this course today. So this has been a very lucky coincidence of timing. Here at UC Irvine, we are still aspirational, but we hope to be very close to having a new branch of Bilingualism Matters this spring that my colleague Elizabeth Pena and I will co-direct. I was on the faculty at Penn State when we launched the very first branch of Bilingualism Matters in the US in 2014, associated with the Center for Language Science at Penn State. I was then on the faculty at UC Riverside, where we launched the first California branch in 2017. But in 2019, I moved to UC Irvine, and we will now establish a new branch where we hope to create a consortium for Bilingualism Matters across California. The diversity of language and culture in California makes it a unique context for Bilingualism Matters. UC Irvine is a minority serving institution with many bilingual students who are heritage speakers of home languages that include Spanish, Mandarin, Korean, Vietnamese, and many others. The community surrounding the campus includes a number of dual language immersion schools. Our location in the School of Education is also ideal because there is a new bilingual authorization program to train bilingual teachers, and because we have many colleagues who have established partnerships in the local community. We anticipate active student and community engagement once we're on our feet, hopefully very, very soon. And we look forward to collaborating with all of you across the Bilingualism Matters network to pursue research and outreach together within the US and internationally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judy. And yeah, we're also looking forward to more collaborations across the network. Thank you. I will see if we can now connect to Jim. I see that he's here. Jim, can you hear us? I see that you're connected twice, but maybe there's some technical problem. Jim, can you hear us? So for the sake of time, I will continue with my few words that I have to share here in in this very important event. As I said before, I'm very happy to be joining Kat and Antonella as the third director of Bilingualism Matters and to support them in this capacity. I'm professor of German as a foreign and second language at the Catholic University of Eichstätt-Ingolstadt in Germany, and I've been involved in Bilingualism Matters since 2014 when we opened a branch at the University of Konstanz, and later on we also opened another branch at the University of Tübingen, and now we're actually planning on opening a third branch in Germany at the University of Eichstätt-Ingolstadt. And yeah, from the beginning, I've very much enjoyed the work with Bilingualism Matters because we focus on what really matters. We conduct research projects, fostering multilingualism in the classroom and in daycare centers. And we have obtained funding from regional, but also national, international funding agencies. And it's really important that we make the research results available to those people and institutions that need it. But on the other hand, we are also very interested to learn from multilingual communities, from practitioners to know what the needs are. For instance, and so I was very happy to see Sarah and Eva earlier, we've been looking at the heritage language Italian in the German context and to learn how it can be fostered in bilingual classes or in heritage language classes, because yeah, it is currently at risk, if you will, in Germany, and many parents are deciding to switch to the majority language German. Or we also look at quality and quantity of input and to find out what language policies families have. And in turn, we want to use results from research, or we're using results to advise families or institutions. We are also flexible within the branches to bring our work to where it is most needed. Currently, we're setting up a program to enable volunteers and students to provide language support for Ukrainian refugees and to help familiarize them with the German language. So the tasks and challenges within Bilingual Matters are always changing, and we are adapting to whatever lies ahead. I'm very much looking forward to the next years and to our common collaborations and this really great and exciting network to strengthen the mission and the work within Bilingualism Matters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tanya. Thank you all the speakers online. We are running a little bit late, and this is only important because we promised the online participants that we will finish on time, so I'll try to be brief here. Unfortunately, we couldn't see Jim, but I think we're going to ask Jim to record his presentation, and we will share with you the recording as we share as well the recording of the event once it's done. My name is Katarzyna Przybycień. Thank you, Antonella, for introducing my very difficult name in a very proper way. You have heard from the previous speakers that multilingualism sort of can be present, it can be found in a variety of contexts. It affects various parts of our lives. Maybe some of them are familiar to your own context, your own situation, and perhaps others are not. But I'm sure you agree that this is a cause and worth talking about and worth working on. And we found that this idea resonates with people across the world. You've seen we've got two representatives of our branches, serial repeaters. As soon as they move into another institution, they set up another branch because they see the point, they see the benefit. And the branches that they've set up and left behind are not closed. They just get another director and they just continue. So at the moment, we've got 30 affiliate branches, as Antonella mentioned, and we've got inquiries about joining our community ongoingly. And this is very reassuring for us. It means that demand is there. And so far, we are unable to accept, for example, non-academic members. And now we will. And we are very happy about this. So this is what I would like to tell you about. What we also have learned over the last years, and I've been with Bilingualism Matters for the last 6, that we are unable to deal with the demand on our own. It's only possible when we pull together the expertise, time, skills, and commitment and enthusiasm of everyone who is involved with us at the moment across the network, and also of all these new people who want to join us and work with us. So this is what we would like to do better, and we believe that social enterprise, that format, perhaps a charity in the future, who knows what lies ahead of us, will enable us to undertake this task better. So just to let you know what we're planning. So the new opening, the new membership types, you can see already on the leaflets, the little leaflets I hope you've got at the back. There is a general information. And if you go to our website, you can find much more details about what we are planning to do. Obviously, not all your questions will be answered there, so do get in touch with us and let us know what you would like to see there, basically. We also are planning to set up our own platform, and in May, in fact, in 3 weeks' time, hopefully we will be launching our online platform, not to repeat the LinkedIn experience, but to provide our own existing mature community with a dedicated tool where people can find themselves directly, and we can communicate, take bookings not across different platforms as you have yourselves experienced, but through one dedicated platform where our work will be streamlined. So what we would like to do now is we would like to invite you to consider membership. Maybe you would like to become members of Bilingualism Matters, individual members or as an organization. If this is not the option that you would like to consider at the moment, maybe there are other ways. Maybe we can think of partnership or collaboration. Maybe we can do something for you, or you can do something for us. We are very eager to learn how we can apply our skills and expertise in new contexts. So give us ideas. If anything that we've heard today sparked an idea, speak to us. Speak to us now, tonight at the reception, or contact us afterwards. We are here and we are open for business, so to say. Although I know Antonella doesn't like to say business. But as my position in this new venture is a CEO, I am comfortable to say that. We have different packages, as I mentioned, and do have a look. Before I let you go and enjoy a little bit of our catering, I would like to mention our very small at the moment local team. It's actually not very local, but it's very small. So we've got, obviously, apart from Antonella and myself, we've got Carlo Ladd, who was there, but he's there somewhere. Oh, hello, Carlo. And we've got as well Yajun Liu, who is there. She's there as well. And Christy Brewster, who probably didn't expect to hear her name here, but she's been supporting us despite the fact that she's not part of the social enterprise at the moment. And I would like to finish with my own personal motivation. I'm not a researcher in multilingualism, although I have a doctorate, but I'm a mom of 2 trilingual children. And back 11 years ago, almost to the date today, my son was born, and the questions in our family started. What is normal? What to expect? Can they speak the same level of Polish and Spanish as we speak at home? How can we make it work? What do we say to the health visitor? What do we say to school? When do we introduce English? And then the questions evolved, and then we started to look at ourselves and think, what is happening to my own language? Is that normal? Am I neglecting my native language? Or is it something that happens to everyone? So all sorts of questions. And I personally experienced a big relief when I found the local BM center that Antonella set up around the same time. The center was 3 years old at that time when I was asking myself those questions. Now, 6 years of working together with Antonella at Bilingualism Matters, I do strongly believe in this mission that we are trying to make true. I'm honored now to be in this position of CEO, to support Antonella and the network, to take it to the next stage and to make a really big difference to the world, to people like myself, as I know it is possible and I know it's needed. So now I would like to close the official part of the event. I would like to say thank you to the online audiences, because the streaming will stop now. Unfortunately, we cannot share the catering with you. But we would like you, our guests, to enjoy tonight. Speak to as many people as you can. They are fascinating individuals in this room. Speak to us. And thank you very much. Have a very good evening.